Okay, so today we're going to talk about risk because, of course, when you invest, there's always going to be a risk. Selling options is the lowest risk I've ever seen for any kind of investment. Well, maybe buying bonds is, or CDs, but you only make like 1 penny per year or something. So, anyway, there's always risk on any investment. So, when you invest, you have to make sure that you do what you want to do and not what someone else tells you to do, and that way you're fully prepared to be accountable for any money that you lose in your investments. But today we're going to just talk about what that risk looks like. So these are the options that I currently hold. I made $87 since I opened all of them, so that's pretty cool. I think it's been a week or two. Anyway, so this one, IDX. So if you look here at the -1, I don't want to use green today. Let's use purple. Okay, -1 means I sold an option, so that was what I was paid for, and +1 means I bought an option. Now, as you probably know, I don't really like to buy options because it costs money to buy things. I'd rather sell things because then you get paid. However, my strike price, so for the option that I sold right here, my strike price was $3, which means if the option goes below $3, I promise to buy 100 shares. And there's only 10 days left until expiration, so if it goes below $3, then I have to buy 100 shares. So right now it's currently $2.17. So that means in 10 days, if it doesn't go back up to where it was, I will end up with 100 shares. And you see all that right here. December 18th, 2020, I have a $3 put and then 100 shares. And right here it says in the money, ITM, in the money. So that means it's in the money. In the money means that the person I sold it to, remember I made this promise with this person, I would buy 100 shares for if it went below $3 because they want to make sure they didn't lose their money. So there's like insurance. So now when you see that little in the money sign, that means it has reached the price. So at any time they can collect on the contract, and I would have to buy 100 shares, which is fine. So what I did, because, okay, so if we pull up the graph, let's see if we can do that. I don't know how to do that from right here. So let's just go search for the graph because that's the easiest way. So there's the chart. I'm sorry, I know this is going to be sideways. So first of all, the nice thing about TD Ameritrade, if you pull this up, look, it says right here at the very bottom, look right here in this area, okay? It says bearish in red, so it tells you, it's like, look, this chart is going down. So it's already at $2 and it's probably going down. Right now we're looking at the 5-day graph, and when you're looking at a graph, see this slope? So first of all, if you just draw a line, that's obviously going down. But the thing to keep in mind is like the peaks are getting lower like every time, and the valleys, this valley is lower than this valley, and this valley is lower than this valley. So that means that it's bearish and it's going down and it's probably going to decrease in money. And then up here, it's trying to make a little baby comeback, but overall, the graph is going downwards, meaning it's not looking as good as it did when I first bought this option. I thought it was going to go higher based off of everything I looked at that time. So what I always like to do is look at also the 1-year graph or like the 6-month graph, because I want to see, so yeah, it's going down today, whoopity-doo. What about like 6 months from now? Because if I'm going to end up owning this stock, then I want to know what is the long-term trajectory. So if you look at this right here, it's going in a slightly downward. And there's also a lot of different tools you can use to really evaluate it, but right now we're just doing like very basic stuff because this graph is not super complicated. So it has these little spikes, which means that like some news events probably happened to spike it, or perhaps with shares at only $2, it could have just been a pump and dump, which just means some newsletters said to buy it, and so everyone did, and so it just has these little spikes. So the thing about these spikes, they're going up to like the $4 range. See, $4, $4. So if I buy it at $3 a share, what I could do is there's several things you could do. One is you could set a limit order for $4, and so even though it just hangs out down here, whenever you can do good till canceled, and so it stays valid for a couple of months, and then when this peak happens, you have your limit order already set, and so you can sell it. And so then since it's done that twice, we can hypothesize it probably will do it again. And so then, and this one only went to $4. This second one looks like it went to $4.50. So we can hypothesize that we can set a limit order for $4.50, and eventually it will get filled, and then you would have made $150 right there. So that's one option. But let's look at another option, okay? Because if we get assigned and we buy the 100 shares for $3, we're technically going to be down $100, right? Because this is currently selling for $2 a share. So just because we bought it for $3 a share, it's still going to be $2 a share. So as I said, the chart is not looking as good as I thought it was. But look at this, okay? Right now, if we were to own it, these down here, these are our call orders. So if you own 100 shares of stock, you can sell a call. So if you don't own the stock, you can buy a put. And as you can see by this little flag right here, I have a option right there. But anyway, you can buy, or you can sell a put, and then you get paid these amounts over here. So that's what we did. You can, right now, you could sell a put saying if it goes down to $2, and then that would be $50. You'd get paid $25 or $5 or $3. But if we own the shares, then we're on the other side. So we can say, hey, if it goes up to $2.50, we'll sell it. Promise. Then you make $60 right off the bat. So even though we technically were down $100, you would make $60. And again, you can do this each month. And so if you recall, the graph was very flat. It just like stayed the same. So if it does that, if it just stays the same in this $2 range, then you can just collect 60, collect 60, collect 60. Or if you want, because if you like, if you think this is a good company and you don't necessarily want to sell the stock right away, then you can do this, make $45 if it goes to $3, which is what you paid for it. So then you would make all your money back and you'd be up $45. And who knows how long it's going to take. Because if we go back to this graph, let's see. It's very flat most of the time, right? So it stayed here for, what is that? August, September, October, and November. So every month you could be collecting the $45 until it has this little spike. You see? So now let's bring it all together. So for this option, let's see, there we go. If we click what we have, this -1, that's the one I sold. And right here is the trade price. So at the time when I bought it, I was paid $95 for this option, okay? So even though if I purchased it right now, I would technically be immediately down $100 because I could only sell it back for $2 a share, even though I would have to buy it for $3 a share because that's the strike price. See, $3 strike price. I was originally paid $95. So if you think about that, technically, even though I paid $3 a share, because I made that $100 up front, I technically got it for $2 a share. So at that point, if we end up having to purchase these shares, even though TD Ameritrade will say that you lost $100, if you do end up buying it, see right there, $100 that you lost. You have to keep in mind how much you were paid to start with, right? So this is why you should be keeping track of your trades in some kind of a journal, which I had a different video on. So that way you can keep track of how much you're making versus how much you're losing. Because right now, if we get assigned, which is what it's called when the person comes to collect on that promise that you made, right now we would actually be breaking even because, well, hopefully this all makes sense. So we buy the shares at $3 a share. If we want to sell it today, we can only sell it for $2. And so, but we made $100 up front. So we pretty much break even. So do you see that? So we essentially got paid $100 and then we also got the shares. You see how it's like a win-win, but you technically, like, this is what's considered losing when you're selling options. So we broke even. And then, as I showed you earlier, you can now sell calls for the $45, $45, $45, and keep making $45. But if you want to, because you did break even, you haven't lost any money technically, you could just do the $60 calls, right? Because right now you broke even, you didn't make any money or lose any money if you end up buying these shares, technically, like, considering how much you were paid. So then if you sell this call, then that means you're going to get paid $60 right now. And not only that, but if the price stays the same, you keep making $60 over and over and over, or however many. The price like changes over and over, but you can keep selling these calls, and every time they expire, you can just sell another one. So eventually you'll have 100 shares, but it's like you got them for free. Now, on the other hand, because this stock does like to move very sporadically and randomly, during the time of this call, it might go up to $2.50. You never know. That's why I would personally do the $45 ones. But in any case, it doesn't matter. Let's say you just want to make money and you don't really care about keeping the shares. So you make the $60. So now, once you sell that call, you have profited $60, right? Because the shares are $2 a share, and that's essentially how much you paid for them when it was all said and done. So now you're up $60. But then, whenever it does go up to this $2.50 range, keep in mind that you paid technically $2 a share. So you would actually make 50 cents per share, which means not only did you get paid the $60, but you also would get an extra $50. So at the end of the day, if I get assigned to 100 shares, which it looks like I will, and then I go and sell this call and make $60 more, if I end up selling that for $2.50 a share, then I made $110 total. So that is what, like, I hope that makes sense. So even though technically the idea is that you lost, because when you're selling puts, you just want to collect premiums, right? So I made the $95. Ideally, the shares would stay at $3 like they were before, and then I would just keep getting to make $100 and never buy the shares. But do you see how, like, if it doesn't go the right way, so you end up buying the shares, then at the end of the day, I still end up with a positive $110. So hopefully that makes sense. And that's why selling options is so exciting for me. So if you like this video, please hit the like button. Because whether you are going to be selling puts for a premium, or selling calls for a premium, you're going to be making money either way. So no matter if you own the shares or not, you're going to be making money. Now, the only thing that you really have to worry about is a stock that's really volatile. That's when it gets kind of a big deal, because like, let's say if you were to buy these for like $100 a share and then it like fell to like $10 a share, well then at that point it's a lot harder to like do this strategy. But with something like this that doesn't move very much, like it has these little spikes, but for the most part, as long as you buy it around the $1 to $2 strike price, it pretty much stays in that range. Then you can make money on both sides. You can make money when it's going up, and you can make money when it's going down. It just doesn't really matter. So that is essentially how you handle selling a put that goes in the wrong direction. You just then you just sell calls, and then you just, because how that graph was so flat, it takes months for it to have a peak and move. You can just be collecting all these premiums, whichever ones you want, depending. Like you could do this $4 one and just get $35 each time, and then it probably won't hit. But if it does ever hit the $4, as you saw it did twice in like 6 months, has these random peaks, then you pay $2 a share, and now you're going to sell your shares for $4. So you're going to be up positive $200, right? Plus however many times you collected that $35. So even if you end up owning the shares, which is considered like losing the trade, or the trade goes against you, then you still collect premiums.